Today, I'm talking with Heidi Rothbard, our VP of People and Culture. If you've ever wondered what People First actually sounds like, this conversation is it. Heidi walks every new hire through our org chart person by person. She's kept doors open for talent until the timing was right. And she's built structures that make support real, not just words. This episode is about the heart behind culture, told through Heidi's stories and her energy. Let's get into it. Heidi, I'm so glad to be talking to you today. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, I want to kick this off with one of my favorite things about you that you do. When someone new joins the firm, you don't just say, here's the org chart. You actually walk them through it in this really personal way. So can you share a little bit about what makes your version different?
I am happy to. So it's been an evolution. When I first joined Blue Skies, I was, I think, employee number 16. And already in that role of helping people on board, it was pretty easy to go through the org chart. And what I found was that it just, knowing the people that work for Blue Skies and that, I hired, I was able to tell personal stories, explain to any new employee, who they are, where they live, what project they're on. And it became such an important part of the onboarding process that I just didn't want to end it as we grew.
Yeah.
So to this day, and I know you've been through it as well, it takes a little longer now because we have more than 16 people at Blue Skies, and it takes me a little longer. But that is one of my favorite parts of the entire onboarding process is making this company real and people real.
Yeah, I love that. I think one time you even said, one of your new hires said that if we ever grow to the point where you can't do this anymore, we've gotten too big, right? So
yes,
you're gonna have to start shortening the stories maybe.
I'm just gonna add on to how long it takes. I will not shorten the stories. We actually do have another improvement that we've implemented a couple years ago. It's called our Blue Book. So typically what I do is I send out welcome emails on your first day as a new hire. And in the welcome email, we have a little bit of your professional background and personal background, fun facts, just things to share with your new teammates. And we've created a blue book where everybody has a profile. And so now what I can do is, because it's really hard to remember 70 plus people in a 2-hour session with me, they can just go to the Blue Book and read up on everybody within Blue Skies.
I love that. I love that. You know, that whole story about how you take the time to walk everyone through the org chart always makes me smile because it shows how much you see people beyond titles. And I think that same care shows up in how you keep the door open for people, even when they don't join us right away. So can you tell me about a time where someone didn't join right away? They didn't accept the offer immediately, but you knew that you had to keep the conversation going.
That happens quite a lot, actually.
Really?
Yes, and it's situational. There are different ways we come to those scenarios. One obviously is somebody is in the interview process and we just have such a great feeling and they're the perfect fit. And then for personal or professional reasons, they decide to go a different direction. And that's fine. And we just, we keep that door wide open. And we stay in touch with people. We check in. And more than once, I can probably, count on my 2 hands here. Then people are like, you know what? I should have come to Blue Skies. And that's when we are just excited and we get to welcome team members, even if initially they weren't quite so sure. And then it turns out great and well. And so we've done that several times.
Yeah.
The other scenario is when we have people in the pipeline and we feel really, really good about them, but there is absolutely no current opportunity for people to join. We
Mhm.
basically just tell them to just stick with us, be patient, and very often it works out in the end.
That is such a unique way to approach recruiting. Most recruiters are under pressure to fill roles fast. So, how
Mhm.
do you hold space to think long term?
Well, I said it in the beginning, we're a relationship company. And I think if you just keep relationships going and maintain them, and
Mhm.
it's just a how do I phrase this? It's just a kind of a gut feel that somebody is right for the organization, for our company, then I will make sure that I check in on a regular basis, whether it's because they took something else or we don't have anything yet. And there are quite a few team members that joined us who were patiently waiting. They were still working wherever they were working, and when the
Mhm.
time was right and the move was made, then it's just it's a true celebration, and it's a great feeling.
Oh, that's so sweet. Do you actually have like a secret list in your head of people you're just waiting to bring on?
I do have a list in my head, but honestly, we're a little too big for having a list of amazing candidates in my head at this point. So what we do is we have a tool, we have an applicant tracking system, and within that applicant tracking system, we created a job, if you want to call it that, or just kind of a place where we put true talent, amazing candidates that we want to just stay in touch with. And so
Mhm.
they're there when I get a resource request, that's the first place I look to see if anybody
Oh.
on that list would be a good fit, and then I can reach out.
Uh-huh.
And on the flip side, we also use that list to just stay in touch and make sure nobody slips through the cracks, so to say.
Got it. Okay. So the opposite side of that coin is
Mhm.
someone joins us, maybe in a
Mhm.
short term role, and
Mhm.
you realize almost immediately, oh no, we're not letting them
Mhm.
go.
No.
So have there been times when someone came in on a short term or, just for a little bit or as a contractor, and you just
Yeah.
knew that they were here for the long run?
Yes, that happens a lot. Over the years, I've kind of developed this feeling pretty quickly in the interview process if somebody is a true fit for Blue Skies. And
Mm-hmm.
while we love working with our contractors and we say they are part of the extended family, I try really
Uh,
hard to convince these folks to be part of the immediate family because we just want to have more of them other than amazing delivery work, and to really be a true employee in the sense of sharing their expertise, sharing their humanity, sharing their caring, and building the relationships on a deeper level. So that is something that I can be quite persistent. Yes.
Yes, you can. I can vouch for that. Persistent in all different ways for all different things.
Hmm. Yeah, but I
But
try to not be.
it's one of the things
Yeah.
I love about you. It's not like it's a bad thing at all. Not at all,
No, and I try to have my persistence come out in a meaningful and charming way rather than annoying.
It does. It does. Don't even think about it. I love that your gut kicks in, but it's not just
Hmm.
instinct. You've also built ways to make sure that people feel supported no matter what. So,
Yes.
in the early days, you could always connect with every single person one on one. And that's getting harder as we grow, as you mentioned. So,
Hmm.
how did you find ways to scale that kind of personal care?
Yes. So while recruiting is extremely important, our number one priority at Blue Skies is retention. And part of retention activities, a really big part of that is meaningful relationships, being there for people to come with any and every thought, concern, good news, not so good news, anything, and being very open to, not just talk about we have open door policy, but literally enforce that in a connecting way. And
Mhm.
to your point, I used to be able to connect with everybody at least monthly and check in and just see how's it going, how are you doing, alongside with the leadership team, who is very, very much from that same mentality of open door policy. And you can literally call our CEO at any point in time and have a conversation or talk about anything on your mind. So we take that very seriously. But we realized that just DLT, the leadership team, and Heidi, we're not going to do it justice. And so
Mhm.
there's a couple of new ways of thinking about that attention to the detail when it comes to retention. One is really empowering our counselors, and we have very robust training for our counselors to be that first go-to for all employee,
Yeah.
that sounding board. And the second part is we were able to hire another resource into this people and culture team. And that is somebody that is, first of all, oozing positive energy. Secondly, never involved in anything performance related, whether it's performance review, which the counselors obviously are a part of,
Mhm.
or performance related issues that I would be a part of. So that person is completely objective, independent, and it's this go to for our employees for anything on their mind, personal improvement, professional improvement, soft skill development in a non judgmental, informal way that is outside of anything performance related.
And that is something that I have never seen or heard of anywhere else. It's kind of like a safe space role. And it's
Yes.
just like you said, oozing positivity and
Mm-hmm.
easy to talk to, easy, very relatable, very much a people person type role.
Mm-hmm.
And I
It
think that the
is.
person in that role really has taken in every aspect of what you were looking for and
Yeah.
personified it. And I love that.
Yeah, and Kenneth, I just want to say one more thing about this role. Everything at Blue Skies, everything we do, everything we improve, everything we add on is in the spirit of growing while maintaining our culture and our brand and who we are and these deep, meaningful relationships that we're building. So I have to say, we hired this person to help out from a recruiting perspective. And then once we kind of realized there's another angle because of the personality that he has, it was an evolution. And now we're able to provide that for our employees. So it's amazing.
That's beautiful. I love that. So, why did you feel that it was important to formalize that support instead of just keeping it casual? I know you mentioned growth, but was there a reason that we thought that this needed a specific role and we had to formalize it?
Yes, it's a bit of an evolution, but when you think back many years ago when Blue Skies was founded, the whole idea of this new way of being in consulting was to have a consulting company with a big heart, and it
Mm-hmm.
is anchored in the philosophy of caring. You can do that easily when it's half a dozen people, maybe even 16, but
Right.
it becomes harder and harder as you grow. And so this role goes back to those days of caring, of being different. The work that we do as consultants, it's hard. We're in complex, stressful, global environments. So Blue Sky should be this home away from those environments outside of your
Right.
own personal home. And so that's really where we want to walk our talk.
Got it. Yes, absolutely. So, let me pause on that for a second. If
Mhm.
you're leading a team, think about what Heidi just said. Support doesn't have to be tied to performance reviews or formal HR or people and culture, as we call it. Sometimes just knowing there's a person whose only job is to listen can completely change how safe people feel and bring that opportunity to just feel like you are constantly supported, even when it gets stressful. Let's take a pause. We just heard how culture can scale without losing its heart. Up next, Heidi shares why this work feels personal and how a role that didn't even exist yet became the job that she was meant to lead. So, Heidi, for
They,
you, this isn't just a role. I know you've said that even though you didn't found the company, it still
no,
feels like yours. So,
yes.
tell us a little bit about where that sense of ownership comes from for you.
Yes, that goes back to interviewing for Blue Skies Consulting to be a consultant, and it wasn't the right time for me to do that because there was travel involved, and my children were in school age where they still needed a little bit of support at home.
Mm-hmm.
I left an actual in-person meet and greet where I got to meet the CEO, John Hoff, and other people. And I talked to a variety of consultants at Blue Skies that were at this meet and greet in person. And the next day, I received a phone call where I basically was offered an opportunity to join Blue Skies as the first non-billable team member and to
Wow.
create my own role description. The ask was, we are ready to get to the next level. We're ready to expand outside of Southern California. We're ready to add new customers, hire more people. We think you can help us get there. And can you kind of craft a role description, call it operations manager, call it whatever you would like, in how you could help us? And so back then I did just that, and I never looked back. And when it was from me as the sole non-billable resource, we now have, I think, a team of almost 10 people that support Blue Sky. Still not a big corporate
Right.
institution, no way,
Yeah. Yeah.
but we've grown. And so the evolution of my role from kind of having my hands in everything to really now focusing on the strategic side of people and culture. That is why I feel such a part of this company, in addition to really feeling a tight bond and a deep friendship with the founding partners and everybody who works at Blue Skies.
Yeah. That is such a Heidi answer. Detailed, human, and impossible to copy paste. And I love that. And what I love about that story is that you said you went in for a join as a consultant,
Hmm.
and yet the partners recognized your talent in a different way, and they recognized the need that the firm had and reached out and said, "Hey, we want to hire you in a totally different capacity."
Hmm.
But it kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, right? With people that fit the culture, but we don't have a role for them. In this case, they created a role for you and it just has
Yes.
grown, and we're so glad that it did. But it's just, even then, that was the culture. And it kind of speaks to how everything gets threaded through. You didn't bring this to Blue Skies. That's really how the founding partners always thought about it. And you just
Yes.
continue to bring that to the table every single time, and it
Hmm.
just lives on, and it is truly embedded in the Blue Skies culture, and I love that.
It is. And that's when you look at our values, one of them being authenticity and being creative and bringing that to Blue Skies. This is why we're such a great team. We're different. We're different in any way you can think of, yet there is this ability to contribute outside of just being, the greatest consultant, and to be part of a team where you can just grow on a personal and professional level is different and amazing.
What is one part of our culture that hasn't changed and would never change?
I would say building relationships and building this level of trust within Blue Skies with each other and being a true team. There's no lone heroics.
Ugh.
In Blue Skies, there's no, you have to do this and you have to, generate revenue with this dollar amount. Everything is team based, supporting each other and building relationships. That's how we grow organically. And that is something we must maintain and will maintain because that's our anchor.
Thanks, Heidi. This has been such a great conversation, and again, very you. grounded, human, no buzzwords, right? So thank you for letting us hear the heart behind the culture that we talk so much about.
Thank you, Kenneth.
That's it for this episode of Frontline Insights. The stories that Heidi tells us reminds us that culture doesn't live in org charts or policies. It lives in the ways we make people feel seen, supported, and part of something real. So whether you're leading a team of 5 or 500, the work is the same. Keep finding ways to put people first because that's what makes culture last.